and welcome to the Enduro World Series show, the show that brings you the inside line on all the very best mountain bike racing action. After a short hiatus, we are back, and we are back in the world-famous Whistler Bike Park to race some of the best trails on earth right here at Crankworx Whistler. Coming up this week on the show, we'll be bringing you all the usual racing updates as the season kicks off again. We'll be on the hunt for some of the newest and hottest bikes in the pits for you to gawp at, and we will meet up with the hometown team, Rocky Mountain Raceface, to find out a little bit more about their unique EWS racing setup. But before we get into all that, let's take a quick look into what our riders will be facing this weekend at one of the most special locations in mountain biking. In the heart of British Columbia, Canada, Whistler Bike Park is known as a mecca for mountain bike riders worldwide. Every summer, riders flock from across the globe to ride its trails, and here at the Enduro World Series, we are no different. After a 2-year break, we are back and more excited than ever. Held amongst the Crankworx Festival, Whistler becomes the focal point of the mountain biking world for 2 whole weeks every August. A huge celebration of all things mountain biking, adding an extra level of excitement and pressure for our racers. With big physical stages to test the riders to the limit both physically and technically, big rocks and roots are par for the course here, all scattered across the impressive mountain range. This weekend is no different, with the riders tackling 5 epic stages that will put all their skills to the test. They face 40 kilometres of riding over the weekend and a whopping 2,813 total metres of descending. After a month-long hiatus from racing, our riders will be refreshed and ready to come out swinging as the second half of the season kicks off in style. In the men's series, the battle between Richie Rude and Jesse Melamed will continue. Both previous winners here in Whistler, and both were riding very, very fast last time out in Val di Fassa, Trentino. Will we see any other riders able to challenge these two for the top spot this weekend? In the women's field, even our break from EWS racing has provided drama, and it is all to play for once again. After 2 dominant-looking races, series leader and hot favourite Isabelle Courdurier picked up a nasty foot injury in the EWS in Valberg last month, leaving the door wide open for someone else to make a challenge for that overall lead. Who is ready to grasp the opportunity is the big question. It's all to play for as we kick the season off once again, and I, for one, can't wait to see what happens next. It really is great to be back, isn't it? The season is really hotting up as we head into our second half and ultimately the final run for anyone with eyes on that overall title. The EWS has been fundamental in the development of new bike technology, and a lot of the new trends that we see at our local trails are first spotted here at the races. With this in mind then, here are some of the latest and greatest bikes and tech for you to feast your eyes upon. It's not uncommon to spot prototype bikes or components in an Enduro World Series pits, and often we're not allowed to talk about it. Luckily, the nice folk over at Commensal allowed us to grab what appears to be a new version of the most successful race bike in EWS history, the Meta. Prototypes can often be exactly the same as what you or I will be riding once the bike is released, but this Commensal is a true development bike. The head angle is totally adjustable, and the Commensal team were keeping tight-lipped on the numbers as riders' feedback is currently confidential. It also features a unique bar at the seat stays which can be moved to adjust the stiffness of the back end. Again, we weren't privy to what the team riders preferred. The suspension linkage is also adjustable, and both the front and rear shocks have custom tunes from Fox. In terms of tyres, we again have some prototype first ride tyres from Schwalbe. We doubt you'll be able to find these in your local bike shop just yet. Next up, American National Enduro champion Amy Morrison's prototype Polygon immediately stood out due to its unique paint job.
This is a prototype Polygon Enduro bike. It's a 170 suspension. It has this IFS link design.
Amy's bike is decked out with top spec components from the likes of Shimano, WTB and Fox.
My setup for Whistler, I think after practice today, I'm still figuring it out a little bit. It was pretty wet out there. The routes were really slippery. I think I want to slow down my rebound a little bit on suspension and soften it up, but definitely some fast terrain. I think Whistler's setup is tricky because there's a lot of rocks, roots, compressions, and I was lucky enough to get this sweet paint job, which came from the factory, and honestly, everywhere I go, I get comments on it, so pretty stoked to have a good-looking bike.
Finally, we spotted something exciting on Rocky Mountain race face rider Jesse Melamed's bike. His big rival Yeti's Richie Rude was also riding the same components as well. At the time of filming, details were still very thin on the ground, but it looks like a new shock based on the Fox Float X, which uses sensors located at the front and rear disc calipers to adjust various characteristics on the fly. We also think the shock could be able to do these adjustments for you automatically, or you can do them yourself using a switch located on the bars. So chances are Jesse will be able to tweak his compression, damping, rebound and who knows what else whilst he's tearing down an EWS stage. But whatever it can and can't do, we expect it's a long way from the production model. Very nice indeed. It's always great to see what the fastest riders in the world are on, and watching what they can do on these bikes is even better. Now we've seen the bikes, we've seen the trails, let's not waste any more time and get straight into racing here in Whistler. Who's got what it takes to climb to the top step in the Pro Men's and the Pro Women's EWS Whistler? The opening stage is a Whistler Bike Park Classic, the 2.1 kilometres of the route-lined microclimate. Stage 2 pitches the racers back towards town in a tech feed zone before they get on, amazingly, the only lift of the day back to the top of the third test, which comprises of no fewer than 4 separate trails. After that, it's one of the day's most technical stages, containing the treacherous Ride Don't Slide trail, before a climb back over to the final stage. Racing got underway yesterday afternoon with a running of that 5th stage as the pro stage. Trek's Hattie Harnden claimed a 4-second overnight lead. Behind her, it was the pride of Canada, Andriane Lanfey-Nadeau, ALN, taming that huge drop at the top of the 11.99 and proving to her fans that they can dare to dream of that maiden win ahead of this one. In the Pro Men's race, Canada Day continued. Jesse Melamed threw himself down the stage to clock an extremely healthy 6-second winning margin. Second place went to Richie Rude. Richie, the series leader, really has a battle on with Jesse in the overall points chase. As the Whistler Bike Park began to cook under a particularly hot summer sun, the racers rolled out of the sliding centre and out onto one of the most iconic race courses in mountain biking. Isabelle Courdurier proved once again that she is one of the most mentally and physically tough competitors that the sport has ever produced, and rallied her Lapierre home to second on the stage. But there was no catching Lanfey-Nadeau. She put 6 seconds into the chasing pack and took control of the race in the process. Richie Rude knew that there was a long day ahead and a lot of work to be done to keep Melamed within touching distance. But his task was made harder on the first stage of Sunday. His win on microclimate was a chunky 4.6 seconds. It meant that he now had a lead of 10.5 seconds. The third stage was the Queen stage and featured the steepest descent of the race, as well as overall points for the winners. Was this to be a crucial point of the race? Andriane Lanfey-Nadeau, the race leader, was beaten home by Isabelle Courdurier. The French rider was now up 2 spots and into second place in the overall, with Andriane's lead now reduced to just 5 seconds. Whilst Richie Rude clocked his first stage win of the race by just over 3 seconds, taking the points in the process. But where was Melamed? The answer was 8 seconds back in 9th, his first stumble of the race. With 2 stages to play for, Richie Rude was now just 3 seconds off the lead. What had been a close-fought battle in the pro women's field got even closer on the penultimate stage. Race leader Andriane Lanfey-Nadeau was third behind Ella Connolly, but it was Morgane Schär who took the stage win. That means that with one brutally long stage remaining, it was now Morgane Schär who was closest to the woman who had led right from the pro stage. Melamed won his third stage of the race ahead of his rival for both the race and the title, by a healthy margin too, nearly 7 seconds. It was, as we've become used to seeing this season, Melamed versus Ruud at the front. But after a full day of racing the roughest, toughest stages of the Whistler Bike Park, Melamed had only managed to eke out 4 seconds from the relentless Ruud. EWS Whistler was poised on a knife edge. Time and time again we have seen just how cruel a sport enduro racing can be, and so it was to be once more for Adrian Lanfear-Nadeau. The Rocky Mountain race face rider had suffered a puncture on the previous stage and the repair didn't hold. Canada's heartbreak combined with a huge final stage push meant that the winner of the 4th round of the 2022 series went to Hattie Harnden. One of the performances of the day had to go to Remy Govan. He'd worked his way through the ranks all day and set about clocking his best result in several seasons in front of his home crowd. 3rd place on the day for Govan. Richie Ruud, the overall points leader, suffered a mechanical on the last stage. There was no catching Melamed. In reality, there never had been. In the end, his winning margin was 16 seconds. And here are those all-important race results. Melamed marches on in the pro men's. Walker, Masters and Lucas refused to be separated, with 2 very happy Canadians in 8th and 9th in Werner and Menzies. And here are those pro women's points. Isabelle Courdurier, seemingly against all odds, leaves Whistler with the yellow plate. Morgan Schauer remains in 2nd and Harnden is 3rd. Jessie Melamed has the yellow plate. Richie Ruud remains 2nd, but the gap is now 295 points. Well, welcome back. Joining me as the party kicks off behind us is the EWS Sports Coordinator, Rory Cunningham. Rory, what a race this place treated us to today, but we have to talk about Adrian Lanfear-Nadeau. What a heartbreak.
Oh, I mean, she was looking so strong all day, led from start to finish almost. And for the final stage, for that to happen, I mean, absolutely heartbreaking, and even more so, a repeat of what we saw in La Tuile last year, failing at the final hurdle, it must be tough.
But absolutely no disrespect at all to Hattie Harnden. Hattie has said multiple times in the build-up to this one, not a big fan of bike parks, not a big fan of the high speeds and the big jumps, but she put it down all weekend and she's walked away with a win.
Yeah, she opted not to do some of the big kind of features on the 1199 trail, the big kind of gap jump. She knows her strengths lie elsewhere. There was a vicious climb after that, and she was so strong on that stage, and just proof that she's sticking to what she knows. Incredible ride.
Flo Espinera, now we need to talk about her as well.
Yeah, she hit the ground running on the pro stage yesterday. I think she was 2nd or 3rd, and yeah, today just picked away. Nothing incredible, but just she was there every single stage, and you could see the emotion at the end, how kind of delighted she was to be on the podium. A lot of Chileans, and they were really celebrating, and it was amazing to see.
We need to talk about as well about the series leader, Isabelle Courdurier. You and I were both there in Valborg. She did that race just for a bit of fun, to find out what e-bike racing was all about. She left with a really harrowing foot injury, a stick right through her foot. We both talked about she probably we mightn't see her again for the rest of the season. Nah, none of that. She's had the foot fixed. She's back in Whistler and she's walked away with the yellow plate, still leading the points.
Yeah.
An absolutely incredible performance.
Yeah, really, really gutsy performance. Just doing what she does best. She just, she's there every single week, and I think 4th today, and, great ride and holds on to that points lead.
Right, let's talk about the pro men's race now. And if there was a Man of the Match award, you've got to give it to Jessie Melamed, haven't you? I mean, the pressure that guy is under in this place. And there was just no stopping him this weekend. There was no catching him. I know Richie was closing in on him, but he didn't put a wheel wrong, did he?
Well, you say that. I mean, he got the puncture. I think it was on stage 3. It was could be the only stage he didn't win. He was, almost head and shoulders above everybody else when he was firing on all cylinders. Got the puncture, managed to fix it. I saw the bike at the finish line. There was loads of plugs through it.
I think there was 6, wasn't there?
Yeah. Incredible that he nursed that to the finish line, but it didn't slow him down. He then went back up to stage 4. Ride don't slide, put 7 seconds in everybody. But I mean, Jesse, local boy, there's a lot of pressure on him. But at the same time, he delivered under pressure.
Richie today, he was coming for him. The Jaws music was on, but it's the first kind of blink I think we've seen this year between the two of them. And That said, we're heading to North America next. We're heading to 2 rounds back-to-back on the East Coast. Richie's home field, and he'll be angry about this one, won't he? Has he poked the bear at the wrong stage, or?
Who knows? I mean, Burke, Richie's from Vermont. I think there's a trail there called Rude Awakening named after named after Richie, and that's what might be coming Jesse's way. But look, still, even though he fixed the flat on the final stage, he still was, I think, only 44th in the end.
Yeah.
So he's still got a decent handful of points. Obviously, Jesse now in the points lead. It's going to be, really wins only for Richie from here on out. But this season's far from over. Like you say, we're going to East Coast. We're going to Richie's backyard now, not Jesse's. Really, really excited to see what happens on the East Coast.
I think this will be a big psychological affirmation for Jesse Melamed that he can win this title. Do you mean he's got the yellow plate? It's his to lose now. One other honourable mention, I think, needs to go to Remy Govan. Oh, absolutely fantastic to see. He had a slow start to the day and he was picking up pace. That last stage put it all down and walked away with a podium.
Oh, amazing. And to do it in front of his friends and family here, just incredible. Remy's been a stalwart of the EWS series, right from the kind of inception, really. He's never quite cracked that podium pace. He's had, I think, a couple of maybe top 5s or top 10s. He's like really consistent rider, but to do that here in Canada, there's no other place you'd rather do it. And yeah, you could see at the finish, like he was almost in disbelief himself, for him to stand on the podium alongside Jesse in Canada. I mean, truly special for him.
There we have it. It's been all Canada this weekend here at EWS Whistler. We put ourselves right in the middle of the Rocky Mountain race face team. More Canadian than maple syrup and being overly polite, just to find out how they got those massive performances from the top racers.
My name is Jesse Melamed. We're currently in Whistler, British Columbia for the 4th round of the Enduro World Series. This is coincidentally where I grew up, so it feels good to kind of, even though I'm living 45 minutes down the road, back home, racing at home, looking forward to it.
I'm Andrea Lantinado, and I've been doing the World Enduro circuit for 6 years now. And yeah, I come from cross-country World Cup circuits.
I'm Remy Gauvin. I grew up on Vancouver Island, which is about 2 hours away from Whistler, maybe 2.5 hours. And I would say I've done the most laps of the Whistler Bike Park of all of my teammates.
Racing in my home country, the biggest difference is not having to deal with jet lag.
No jet lag, you can bring my own vehicle.
It was really weird to be at home this weekend when normally we've already flown out to the venues.
And I think that there's an excitement that's a bit more because most of your friends will be able to attend. Your family might even be there in the audience too.
The Rocky Mountain team is pretty unique, I would say. We're all Canadian, we all live in Squamish. We are super lucky that all our staff are very experienced in mountain bike racing, so they all know exactly what they need to do to help us succeed.
I think the glue that holds the team together is mostly Tara, physio and manager, but also managing everyone's needs, and that could be staff or riders.
We rarely have any mishaps, so yeah, I think it's a good support program around you is extremely important.
So we're on Pro Stage Day today, which means they practiced the stage this morning and then they'll come back for a couple of hours, have lunch, chill, and then get ready and head out to race the Pro Stage this afternoon. So that's it, Pro Stage done. Jesse into first, ALN into second, and Remy into sixth.
Racing at home, my approach doesn't really change. It kind of can't. I've built up a very experienced way of approaching a race week, I guess.
I know going into this race that these kind of feelings are going to come up, and now that we've raced here however many years, I'm able to really manage those a lot better.
I'll take it any day. Have more races in Canada, please.
It is Sunday, it is race day. We're racing stages 1 through 5. The riders are all out on the first transition right now. It's definitely a lot of like patience and like a slow burn. I don't want to say anxiety, but like a bit of like nervousness waiting to make sure they get down safe and happy, and then they'll be in after stage 2 for any tech help, food, water, and off for the rest of the day.
Jesse must have hit something out on course, but you know, it's sealed up. It's just a little dent in the rim here, but knocked the wheel a little bit out of truth.
We're just at the finish line of the final stage of the day. Coming into this stage, both Aylin and Jesse are in the lead, and Remy is in 6th, like very close to 5th place. I'm definitely like not like anxious, but I would just like them to get down safely and happy and wrap the day. Overall, a victory for the team and a successful weekend. Everyone like stayed safe for the most part and leaving here happy and ready for the next round.
Yeah, the behind the scenes staff make a huge difference because they're the ones taking care of everything. They're all quietly working in the background. You don't see them much, but it's because they do such a good job.
I think we're just all really happy to be on this team. Great bikes, great people, so yeah.
I think everyone's commitment into something will be matched, and then that's how a team really rises.
This team just kind of has everything that you look for in a team. All the boxes are ticked. There's nothing really that you're looking for at another brand.
There we go then. There are lumberjack shirts less tightly knit than that lot. Thanks for joining us this week here from the Whistler Bike Park. You won't need to wait long for more bike racing action, as we are back next week to bring you all the racing from the EWS Burke in the USA. Burke is a brand new race venue for the Enduro World Series, known for its technical, rooty and rocky terrain. It's already infamous in North America, but this will be its debut onto the international circuit. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you then.